see him.
Oh, you can stand at the window, right?
Yeah, we're gonna go. Sign. Seriously, I'm gonna go today and wave through the window.
Nice. What do they name him?
Gino.
Oh, very Italian right there.
That's right. Baby Gino.
Baby Gino. All right, we are live. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Dan Blewett. This is episode 4 of the Morning Brushback Podcast, now with updated logos, thanks to my former business partner, Lucas Cook. I'm here with Bobby Stevens, my co-host. Bob, what's up?
Daniel.
And we have a special guest, a former teammate of ours, Sean Gleason, is joining us from the Las Vegas area. Sean, what's up, man?
Morning. How are you?
Good to see you again. Sean is a savage, and I was like, hey, man, we do this show at 9 a.m. Eastern. Like, we like to do a live. That's kind of our thing at the moment. Are you sure you want to get up and do this at 6 a.m.? He's like, bro, I'll be up at 5:15. I'll be in that Zoom link at 5:30. Just classic you. Which is what we love about you.
There's no way you've slept.
Did you sleep last night?
Yeah, I go to bed like 8:30 every night.
Get out of here.
We're watching Netflix and TV. I don't get into that stuff. I just reading the memes about that new Tiger King or something.
Have you watched it? Has anybody watched it?
It's insane.
What is
awesome.
Tiger King?
It's
I don't
amazing.
know what it is.
You want to tell him?
No, because I don't tell stories worth of shit.
It's this guy in Oklahoma who's got like a tiger sanctuary, and they're getting shut down by some woman in Florida who killed her husband, and he turned like 2 straight meth heads gay. It's insane. It's awesome. It's the best. It's this guy. He ran for president. He ran for governor. This guy's amazing. I want to be best friends with this guy.
Those details did nothing to tell me about what this like.
This is exactly. I just told. It's It's 7 episodes of insanity. This guy.
Yeah, that sounds like insanity. You blurted out tigers, Florida, meth, turning men gay, and governors. What?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Bullets and handguns.
I can't. Okay. I can't give a better description.
Well, I'm gonna make a Netflix show. So he just like looked around the room and was like, "I'm gonna make a Netflix show about Raisin Bran, bleach, refrigerators, the town mayor, and a laptop."
No.
And that's no show.
You're downplaying the Tiger King. It's not. You need to watch it. You have to watch it. This guy, you can't make a story. You couldn't throw 100 shitty things in a hat and pull them out and make a better story than this guy.
I'm telling you. I'm not gonna watch it. I don't really watch TV ever, but
Dan, you're gonna watch it.
Of all the things to watch, that's not on my list.
You're watching it. Just listen to it. Put it on in the background.
Trash cans, tripods, trips to Bermuda.
I'm telling you, you're gonna hear the guy, and you're gonna be sitting there typing on your computer, and all you're gonna hear from the guy in the back is, I just started doing meth, and I guess I'm not even gay. I don't know. You're like, what the fuck is happening? And this guy, he ran for fucking president in 2016. Like he had a campaign manager who was a manager of a Walmart. This guy, you can't make it up. You can't make this up. Like I'm calling that guy to manage my campaign when I run for mayor.
You've been saying you're going to run for mayor of Chicago. I mean, that's been like a running Twitter joke for years now. And I mean, do something about it.
It's been like 2010. Let's go.
Be about it.
I'm 2023. 2023. Look at my Twitter.
You're just gonna keep, and then 2023 is gonna be 2027, and then you're gonna be dead. And you never ran for mayor.
What do you do?
Coward. You're a big coward.
If you don't set goals,
just
for
admit
yourself,
it.
Dan, I can't help that you don't set goals.
Admit it on air that you're scared.
Right,
you're scared to be mayor.
I've got long-term goals here.
You're scared. Just admit it. So Sean, tell us what is Vegas like? Because Vegas, there's a lot of human contact. I mean, all these poker chips, little Corona chips. I mean, like what?
Not anymore, man. It's
the entire strip shut down?
Functioning strip. You can go run it if you want. That's
how far are you from the strip?
How weird is that?
I'm an $8 Uber ride. So I relocate. I'm in the Henderson mostly, but have a rental over there. But I'm over by the new Raider Stadium right now, and that thing is beautiful. And like if you saw my Instagram, I took a picture of Mr. Mark at a hockey game and this and that. But I'm a Broncos fan, but man, that stadium is going to be sweet. The whole side opens up like sliding big glass doors. You can see the strip. I mean, it's going to be a party on wheels in a shell. I mean, I don't know. Whatever you want to do, it's going to happen.
So is the entire strip shut down? I mean, like.
Yep, we've been shut down now for, what's today, Friday? So this is the end of the second week.
How weird is that? I mean, have you been running on the strip? I'm sure you've done at least once, but like, have you been over there?
You know, I don't run, but I've been through it. I mean, it's literally, I don't know. It's so weird, man. I don't even know about Chicago. I mean, that's even a bigger city. And once that, I mean,
so you want to hear?
We don't have many people though, you know, infected due to we need tourism. But if we don't shut down, no one's ever going to come. So it's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
At least it's warm by you. It was fine. It was snowing on Monday here.
Yeah, man, my traveling days are done. 80 degrees this week, but all I have right now is a balcony, so I'll have to sneak in some walks.
Let me define what Chicago is right now for you guys. If you can see the phone, it's tough to see. Emergency alert at 3:21 in the morning to not run on the adjacent to the lake or on the trail that runs through the city. 3:21 in the morning. Like
why?
Why
like
not?
One of those screech,
right?
one of those screeching alerts that like.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
This is
one of the terrifying ones.
I love Chicago, but the worst run city in the history of the world. I don't know why anybody would live here.
Well, they shut down Red Rock here. They shut down Red Rock and the Boulder City Railroad Trail because they want people to, you know, go out and hike or be around. But it looked like ants in a single file line up these trails.
Yeah.
That was so cabin crazy.
Well, that's a good point because I've been arguing with my sister about this lovingly. She's just concerned for me being in the city, but like it's a valid question, which is how much contact is appropriate when you're trying to limit contact with other humans. So she's like, hey, you know, don't take the metro and don't go to WeWork. And if you assess like the risk for me on my personal like little bubble here, those are the two like least possible. Like there's one person per metro car right now, and you can walk through and literally not touch a single thing, sit down, get off, not touch another thing, and leave the metro station. But it's public transit, so it's, you know, it's scary to people. And then me going to WeWork, which is a co-working space, there's like 4 people in the entire like huge building. Like I'm not anywhere near another human, but then I'm like, so Annie, if you let me do those 2 things, or if you don't want me to do those 2 things, can I exercise? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, well, if I jog, I'm passing people on the sidewalk. Like it's inevitable, even if you kind of zigzag and take weird routes, and you're going to walk by some people and you're going to run past some people. So it's like, if I can do that, then what, you know what I mean? Like finding the standard of like what's safe and appropriate is hard, I think, right now, because you're going past people on the street. You're, like you said, with trails, they're going to be packed. So it's like, I don't know.
It's just about that cough or the touching of something else. And you have to be really mindful. I mean, we all do it. I mean, you touch your face and hands and mouth all the time. And that's the most important because you're spreading of germs. Boom, boom, boom. And, yep.
And you're literally caressing your whole face right now.
Guys, I bought bleach last night. Are you excited? I went to Target
it's 1 tablespoon, bro, per gallon. That's your cleaning solution.
I'm rich. Like I'm gonna put this on eBay for like here. If you're out there listening and you want bleach, I'll accept a new laptop, a new iPhone, maybe like a Toyota. If you want to trade me a car, I'll give you the bleach. I mean,
all right. I'll send my 4Runner, bro. 2004. You need it?
It's a big deal.
So have you been going to WeWork? Have you been getting out of the house and working and
like 3 days a week, maybe? That's it.
Really?
Most of the time I'm staying home. I mean, they're staying open because they have like essential businesses that, like, if you go into a WeWork, you might see a 50-person JP Morgan Chase office. Like you might see a bunch of law firms.
Right.
Yeah, like there's a million different businesses underneath them. Some of those do fall under the umbrella of businesses that would stay working. Now in DC, there's like 12 WeWorks. So the one that I'm going to is brand new. It's incredible. It's like almost vacant because there's not that many businesses that had moved into that office yet. It's like very new. But in other businesses,
so what's the
I'm
point
sure
of you going?
There are a lot more. Because great Wi-Fi. It's just a comfortable place to be out. I walk 10 minutes to get there. It's just like a better work environment than me going crazy in my apartment. And it's equally quarantined.
If we're not sponsored by WeWork after this glowing review,
so they'll sponsor me because they're the worst run company in America. I mean, their financials are terrible.
Now when you say that, we're not going to get sponsored.
They're bleeding money, so they'll throw more money out.
Like, I'd love to get sponsored. Hey, we're going to buy Toyota, the shittiest cars in America. Like, come on, throw them a bone. Did
you get up on the WeWork news in the past 6 months? It's been incredible. Just like
only from what you told me.
The lack of leadership from their founder, just their terrible financials. They're burning like $200 million a quarter. And with every new WeWork they open, because they signed all these leases, with each new WeWork they open, it's like stabbing a fresh wound into yourself. Like the fact that 2 new DC WeWorks opened means their company is now just bleeding more money because each location loses so much money. It's crazy. Like
they're just trying to buy up land and then get bought out.
They were doing what all the startups do. They're like focusing on growth. So it's like, let's grow, let's open as many as we can. But when every location loses money, the more locations you open, the more money you lose. And it's amazing. You see these huge facilities like this one, and there's like 4 new ones within the last 3 months, and they're huge. And you're like, okay, they're paying $2 million rent a month or $1 million rent per month here in DC. And it's a ghost town. It's like, well, this isn't good for business for them.
Well, you're still going?
Yeah, I don't pay any money. I go there for free.
Yeah, you're taking advantage of the system.
I got this incredible have a free WeWork membership for a year from my Amex Platinum card. It's like a $4,000 perk. It's amazing.
Drop that Amex. You got the gold one now? Business Essential?
No, the Platinum one. It's amazing.
Oh.
It's a $600 per year annual fee, but you get $200 in travel credit. So if you take one flight, you get $200 reimbursed. That's down to $400. If you get $15 in Uber credit every month, that doesn't roll over, but you can use it. So it's $200 a year if you spend it all. And then I got that $4,000 WeWork perk, so that's paid for the card for like 6 years. It's just a really good card. And you get to access to all these airport lounges and lots of other stuff. So it just depends on whether you can make use of the expensive fee or not. They're all different. So Sean, you're a big weight room guy. What have you been doing to stay sane, exercise-wise?
Well, what is it? 14 days. I've done at least 100 push-ups a day. And pull-ups. Bob was my first pull-up guy on that pyramid.
I got you.
Remember that? The 1, then the 2, then the 3, then the 4.
It's 100 pull-ups. 5. It's quick hundo.
And that's why I was throwing a quick hundo on the mound. Still got that record.
Still
35 saves, Frederick Keys.
Have you been playing catch? You been doing any baseball stuff?
Bro, I can still long toss 100 yards right now. I play in Sunday League, bro. I had 5 jacks last year.
Oh my god.
We went to a tournament in Arizona and I hit one over the netting at the spring training facilities. Yeah.
You went to that men's league tournament? That
I threw a complete game. 10 innings, 18 Ks, 1 run, we lost.
How'd you feel after that?
Awful. I drank like 1,000 Miller Lights for my ice and recovery. And I had a cold tub because I was so hurting.
The guys out here don't play it's all softball where I'm at. And it's quite fast pitch. I play softball now too. Fucking 12, fast pitch, softball, wood bat, winning team that wins goes on to Puerto Rico. It gets crazy. Dan's Instagram living us right now. Don't mind him.
Yeah.
Dude, that's good. I play softball on Fridays and I play left field and I bait people. I mean, the last game I threw a guy out at first base. I
reliving the glory.
Dude, I would love to toe the rubber again. My arms feel so good. It's just
Isn't there a new league? There's a new league out in West Coast, isn't there? Not the Golden League. I forget what league it is.
I don't know. If you pay, you can play in any kind of independent ball now and be a pro.
Yeah, yourself a deal.
Everyone's a pro. Let me pay my $500 and play in this California Colorado League with 3 games, and I went pro.
Well, let's speak on that a bit. So so the show kind of outlined today. I know we want to talk a bunch about the current political situation, but we also have a bunch of college baseball stuff that I want to get both of your input on. So, incoming freshmen or players that have signed a national letter of intent, what happens to these guys, especially if seniors come back? So I want to talk about the senior situation in college baseball, college softball, and what that means for incoming freshmen. And I also want to hear, but I do like this thread of what does it mean to be a pro baseball player? Because for me, I was an independent only guy. Never got my shot in affiliated ball. You guys both played in the Orioles system, and Sean, you played sort of everywhere, and the cartels in Mexico. But that is a very valid conversation where I know that it irks me, and not to the point anymore where I really care. But like you said, you played 5 games in the Pecos League, which is one of the most illegitimate pro leagues that exists. It's like high school baseball fields with 40 fans. They pay you $150 or something, and you sleep 18 guys to a room, and they call that pro baseball because they call it pro baseball. But it's like, at what point is it actually pro baseball, and at what point would you say that it's not? I don't know. So with some of these independent leagues, Sean, where do you feel like you draw the line personally?
It's tough because everyone else has a different skill set or level. But I mean, if you didn't probably get a contract or sign, $1,000 get picked up out of somewhere, I don't know. Like the Pecos stuff, that's maybe like a elevated continuing of like summer baseball to me. I mean, you got to go out there and play and be able to be picked up when there's only 3 or 4 teams and you're paying to play. Yeah, you're living your dream and you're having fun, but I mean, there's a whole different level to baseball out there. So,
yeah, I mean, the pay to play stuff is crazy.
Yeah. The Pecos League is tough. Obviously you got affiliated ball, and then you've got your independent leagues, Atlantic League, American Association, Frontier League. There is no Can-Am anymore. Frontier and Can-Am are the same league now. There's a league in Michigan that's, I think it's 4 teams. They play at one complex. I'm not about to tell these kids that they're not professional baseball players. They're professional baseball players. You get paid to play, you're professional. Aside from playing in a Sunday league and the guy gives you $100 to come out because you're going to dominate and throw 15 innings like you would, Glee. That's not professional baseball. But the Pecos League, it's a summer league. It's a full summer. It's like the old Golden League. There really is no independent baseball on the West Coast, which is probably some untapped market in some aspects. But that's professional baseball. Obviously foreign. Like I went to the Czech and played my last summer just to go, and that is loosely professional baseball. Like that's their professional league. We only played a doubleheader on Saturday. I mean, I don't know. That's honestly high school baseball. Like I had kids in high school on my team. I had a guy that was 37 years old on the team, and he was the ace throwing like 70. So it's a loose term. It's a loose term.
Here's my question for the panel. If you get paid a salary of $2 per month, are you a professional baseball player?
How often
you
are you
have
playing?
to be
How often are you
getting
playing?
paid more than you spend.
How often? That's impossible. Are you kidding me? It's impossible. You spent more in AAA. You spent more money in AAA than you got paid.
But I'm saying on meals. I mean, if you can't even afford 3 meals a day and you're $2 a day, I mean, you're doing it for the love of the game, and I respect that.
Rookie ball, I don't think rookie ball I was making $1,100 a month. That's what, $32 a day.
But you're still getting like insurance and benefits and things like that, and that makes you a professional organization. Maybe not a player.
Sure.
So that's where I kind of teeter the level. If you're getting paid for your travel and you're not having to gas up your own tank, that's kind of like a voluntarily pro thing to give you a shot to be seen. And I respect that.
How often, I think if you're getting paid, if you're collecting a paycheck and you're playing every day, let's discount short season because obviously it's short for a reason. If you're playing 90 plus games a year and you're getting a paycheck, I would consider that professional baseball.
So if you get paid $2 a month, and you play every day, that's professional baseball. Well, this is it, but this is an important. The reason I'm saying this is
it's tough. I mean, that's an unrealistic example as much as it is an example. Like the Golden, like the Pecos League, they get paid $200 a month. I think something ridiculous. So what is that? $5 a day, $6 a day. I would still say that's professional baseball. Like they're playing every day. You know, they're getting a paycheck to play. That is their job. You know, regardless, it's not a living wage. Like we can argue all day. That's not a living wage. Like those kids are poor as fuck. Like that is an extension of like Sean said, of basically collegiate summer baseball. Like if you got guys older than 23, 24 in that league, somebody's got to tell those guys like, hey, this isn't it. Like this isn't it. You got to, at some point there's, you know, live the dream as long as you can. You know, we all know guys that are probably still playing, that they just keep going back to independent ball, and you kind of wonder like, what are you doing?
Mm-hmm. Like, so what are you going to do? If
they got the means. Me?
Or Dan, what would you guys do in this term right now? So if you're, like you said, a college senior, you have the chance to go back because they stated last night, there's only a 5-round draft. Are you exiting and then going to go sign with the Atlantic League just to get your feet wet?
Or the Pecos League.
But are you going back and going to play one more year experience, and maybe the next year, 2021, the full 30-round draft?
Well, so I did this. Obviously, I came back for my 5th year. I was on track to graduate in 4, blew my elbow out at the end of my 4th year, came back for my 5th just to rehab and be with the team. And I was fortunate to do that because my parents paid for my college. You know, God bless my mom and dad. They've been just like, I mean, you can't understate how important that is for an athlete. Just like I didn't have debt. They've been like, we lived a very normal middle-class life. I'm not wealthy, but my dad's an engineer. My mom was director of Habitat for Humanity for our branch, my county. And my parents are some amazing people and saved money for all of us kids to not have that financial burden when we left. So that was a major part of my decision. I could go back with my 5th year, not be just, you know, crippled with debt. And then I moved on, and then I could chase my dreams in pro baseball because I didn't have all these huge loan payments over my head, stuff like that too. So my situation was different because I needed to rehab. And if I hadn't, I knew I would have had less structure. So, but I guess my decision was still similar. I guess my question for a lot of the seniors is, are you actually going to have a chance to go into pro baseball? Is that your reason for going back? If it is, are there other options? Like Bob said in the summer, can you latch on with an independent league or something? There's going to be a lot of showcases. I mean, teams are going to do stuff for these players. It's not like they only need 5 players. Now, I realize they were talking about contracting the draft as it was, right? Like that's been a conversation for a couple of years, like in the back burner. So the draft's going to shorten anyway, probably. And this is probably just like the reason they're going to do it for the first time. It won't be 5 rounds, but they're probably going to contract it to like 20 or 30, I heard.
I mean, I saw a tweet from a scout, and I saw there's a scout that works with us. He's like a bird dog, but he does a lot of scouting. And they both made good points. Like they've been on these kids for well over a year. So unless you're the guy that's sneaking into the draft, or you're a fringe guy that might have the stuff or might have some tools, like those top 5 to 10 rounds, they have a pool of guys those guys are getting taken, especially the top 3 rounds. I mean, there might be a 10th rounder that sneaks into the top 5 because he showed out, but that 10th rounder is still on the board. Like they know who that kid is. They want to see him perform. So, you know, it's really a question of the guys on the back end, the kid that's, you know, 88 to 92 starter, you know, maybe at like a mid-level school who's had good numbers. He's got some stuff. He'll probably get a shot because he's got enough velocity and he's got enough success. But he's a free agent, late round guy, probably as is. The guys that throw 95 plus are going to get a shot somewhere just based purely on arm talent. So it's really, if you're a senior, I put this out on Twitter. I think we talked about it a few days. If you're a senior, the real question is, if you're a position guy, like, can you take that debt on of $20,000-$30,000 just to come back and play baseball? It's not that you don't want to, like those guys want to. That's not the question. The question is, can you? Like, I want to. I have a year of eligibility left. Sean, you left as a junior, didn't you?
Yeah, I want to go play football.
Yeah, I'll go back and golf right now. I'll go back to into college and playing. Like everybody wants
we
to
should get
stay
2
in
years
college
now with this rule.
That's
Bobby,
right.
Let's go.
You need to balance your golf career with your wood bat carpentry skills. So you need to make time for
again,
both.
you don't like trades. You don't like tradesmen. I've totally accepted that.
So Bobby said, "I'll go make a wood bat today." Yes,
I can make a wood bat right now.
Okay, my thing is if I'm a high school senior and mandated by law, no 19-year-old unless it's special ed, at least in Nevada, cannot come back to high school. So if I'm a high school senior, though, I'm taking my route the way I went. I'm going JUCO 1,000% because if any of those Division 1, 2s, and 3s come back, that's a log jam for me. I'm going JUCO where I can get the reps, be seen, and play all fall, and still be able to get drafted that next year. When I thought I was a high school senior, that might have been a later pick. I mean, then you're going to bump up because if not, you're competing against a whole nother class.
Well, that's the thing, though.
That's a good thought.
It's a great point. But at what point, at what level do those kids not go to JUCO? Like I think it makes total sense for the kid who's going to Division 1 because he's probably got a few tools that he could improve to draft quality if they're not already there. So junior college, I think, are going to benefit greatly. There was a question I saw. One coach was talking about the national letters of intent. Like, are they going to scrap those and let kids transfer if they want to? Like,
Which I think they should.
You're going to Louisville and they've got 20 kids coming in and they're supposed to let 15 guys go off the roster between the draft and graduating, and now all those kids are coming back. You can't go there. Like, how can you go to a school that's going to have 60 guys in fall? And then you're going to have to go to junior college anyway.
It's going to be a loose rule, man. I mean, if you're a high school senior, you have to go JUCO. That's how it's made, man. You grind it out there. You get better. You're there for baseball. It's easy class for anybody across the board, and you still get a chance to get drafted. Why would you want to go unless you're – I don't even know. Even if you're a standout high school senior.
Well, how hard did you throw as a senior?
I was 88 to 91, maybe touched 92, 93 on a really good day.
You're like
really good day.
Head. You're like shaking your head as you say that. Like,
it didn't matter because I was such good. I was a better catcher, and no one ever got to see me do that because I went to JUCO and we had 2 All-Americans, so I went to the outfield.
Yeah, but your arm talent is in the top 1% of high school.
You weren't, especially back then. What year did you graduate high school?
04, but I wasn't getting letters all over like let's go here, there. I'm a town of 8,000. You get up and you got to do your work and your due diligence. And I won 101 games in JUCO, and we were top 5, and we're all over the place.
But I think Bobby's point was just that 88 to 93 back in 2004 was not normal. Even now, that's exceptional. I mean, that's like 92 to 95 now as a high schooler. It's probably the equivalent. So your situation was a little different than other people. Yeah. No, most of the kids here who are listening, or their parents who are listening to this podcast, if their kids are considering going JUCO, it's because they're just not quite good enough and they need to develop more, which is great. That's or they're pretty good and they're hoping they can, maybe they're 85, 88, and a good year or two gets them to 90, 92. And now they're transferring to the D1 of their dreams. That's, I think,
but back to your situation,
though, I went
JUCO also because I could get drafted every year. And if something would happen, boom, I'm already drafted.
Yeah.
And Division 1, like you have 4-on-1s in the fall. Like you don't even, when I went there to St. Mary's my junior year, like I didn't even see my whole team till the spring. And I was as fresh as a freshman. Like what the heck? You don't even team bond. Like, I don't know. I love JUCO because it'll prepare you for minor league baseball too. Because it's
no doubt.
So Sean, we didn't give you a proper introduction. Fill us in a little more on your path through baseball. So your high school, college, tell us like the way you climbed the ladder.
Colorado, La Junta, Colorado. A couple major leaguers and minor leaguers from there. From a town of 8,000 is pretty good. Then I went to junior college, Lamar Community College. We played against the Arizonas, Utahs. One year we fell 1 game short to South Mountain to go to the College World Series, or the JUCO College World Series. And the next year we fell short to Dixie before they moved on to Division 2. Now they're D1 because they've grown so fast. And then my sophomore year, I signed in the fall with St. Mary's after going to see Alabama, Oklahoma. I mean, I went on a lot of
St. Mary's, California, right?
Yeah, West Coast Conference.
What's their mascot?
The Gale.
The Gales?
Yep.
What does that logo look like?
The hell is a Gale?
I couldn't even tell you. I think it's the guy on the horse.
Oh, okay. Something like medieval. Gotcha.
I didn't spend much time. Yeah, I just tried to get all my studies in. I mean, 6 hours of study hall just to stay up on your books.
That's a good school, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I killed it, but you have to put in the work, and that takes time away from baseball. That's other things you got to consider. What kind of student are you? What do you want to be in your first 2 years of college? And, and then when we play 7 years Orioles, 5 years in Mexico, played in the Can-Am once, went to Dominican for a hot minute in a playoff series. I just love baseball, man.
And so you were 88 to 93 as a high school senior. What were you at your peak in pro ball, like velocity-wise, stuff-wise? Like, what kind of pitcher were you?
Hard.
Well,
firm.
I was probably like, I don't know, 90, 94 as a starter-ish. I mean, it just depends on the day. I mean, you don't always have a really good outing with your arm, Then I started getting into middle relief, and then I went to closing, and then I would probably sit 5 to 7 most nights. Ish.
95 to 97 for the layman.
Bobby would
we
be out there.
abbreviate. You just drop the 9. Just drop the 9.
There's. I mean, I've seen you hit harder for sure. The 4 pitches, right? You're a 4-pitch guy, from what I remember.
Yeah, it was fastball slider as I got more back in because
I was gonna say as you bullpen, you tone it. Bullpen guys, 2 solid pitches is what you need. But as a starter, I remember 4 pitches.
Yeah.
And then we would, I would throw, as Bobby could see, even in BP, we would find spots and just try to chuck it and throw it through TV camera holes for a game. I don't know.
God.
It's all about long toss and pull-ups, man. If you have big breaks, you can get going quick.
Well, 2 points. I want to double back because we have a good question. Father's name, his name is Adam. Adam, what's up? He's a son who's a senior in high school. He's 17. Touches 90, just 88 to 89. He's committed somewhere where they have 10 seniors, and they're not sure who's going to return. What kind of advice? That's a tough situation, right?
Is it Division I school?
Yeah. 10 seniors. I don't know if they're all pitchers. I assume it couldn't all be pitchers.
See if he can tell us what school, as far as
well, I'll probably keep that. We'll probably keep the school off the radar. But that's a general, good scenario. So what do you think like that? Pretty premium arm, 80 to 90 as a high school senior, again, is excellent.
That's very good.
Committed, or NLI. So I don't know, is junior college fit in that plan? Like, how should they view? I mean, here's the other thing. When you're that, now if you're 84, 86 in that same situation, right? That makes you a little more nervous. I mean, every school needs arms, and 80 to 90 as a freshman.
Yeah, he's Division I arm.
Yeah, no for doubt. Sure.
But a JUCO maybe next year top 10 round pick.
And you can't get drafted after your first year in JUCO like you could back when you were in there.
Yeah, you can.
You don't have to go through 2 years?
No. There used to be the draft and follow where you could hold your money.
Oh, that's right. Better. You're right.
That's what I'm saying. Man, if he's 88 to 90, I'll call Lamar junior college tomorrow. I mean, my coach this year is getting inducted to the JUCO Hall of Fame. I mean, there's many. Why pass up on an opportunity to be seen every year?
The difference between him and the kid that's 84, 86 is he's going to have D1 offers if he goes to JUCO coming out, no matter what, whether he puts up numbers or not. He's just got the arm. The kid that's 84, 86 goes to JUCO, let's say he's going to a small D1. Like, that kid probably needs to stay at that D1 because if he goes to JUCO and he doesn't get any better, he's probably not going to Division I after that if he doesn't have numbers. This kid, whoever we're talking about, Tom, you said that your son's got options.
You made that name up.
What's his name? Pat?
His dad's name's Adam.
Adam. Okay, I was close, right? Tom, Pat, Adam.
Oh, sure. You got one of the letters right. Yeah.
Bob, yeah.
You got one letter right.
This guy's your son has options. He's going to have, he doesn't have to pitch for the next 2 years, come out as a sophomore, and he's going to have D1 offers. I think the real question is how much money is he getting? Is he on a 25%? Is he getting a full ride? If he's getting a full ride, it's hard to say, hey, I'm gonna risk it to go to JUCO. I mean, granted, JUCO is going to be much cheaper just based on tuition, but money.
And
talks.
He's going to be healthy, bro.
Yeah, money talks.
Even on a senior season, he's going to be healthy, so he's ready. Now you train and throw harder.
That's also very true. I mean, you can expect.
Right now.
Yeah. 88 to 90 right now, this time next year is probably 90 to 93, 94. I mean, and you can't deny that kid playing time at that point, right? And that's my other point is that I went to watch D1 softball and D1 baseball in my area. So I've seen in the past, before the season got shut down, I saw Georgetown play. So on the baseball side, Georgetown, GW, and I've seen Maryland, Rhode Island, a couple other teams. If you go through this and talking with some scouts and a friend who's a scout, all these teams in the area, and that includes like UMBC, Maryland, Mason, GW, Georgetown, like these are all like reputable, like lower but mid-tier D1s, right? Maryland's like the highest in the area. They don't have that many 90-plus arms. Like you think about D1 schools, like everyone's got like 6 90-plus guys. It's just not the case.
No.
You're not going to a Georgetown, though, to play baseball. You're there because you're good at baseball to help offset costs.
That's
more
true,
times
but these
than
are
none.
That's true, but these are all still like it's still D1 baseball. They still play legit
1000%.
D1 baseball.
Yeah.
And my point is that chunk of schools in that like middle to lower tier of Division One, there's still most of the pitchers on that roster are 86 to 90, and the 90s are like touching it once in a while. Most of those guys are mid to upper 80s, and it's still a misconception on Instagram and the whole social media universe that this whole like 90 poo thing that's going around. 90 miles per hour is still a very significant milestone. And most pitchers, even if you go watch a mid-tier reputable D1 game, most kids are not pumping 90 or above. And so if you're one of those college seniors that's 88 to 90 or a high school senior, you're in really good shape to be a guy on any like mid-tier school. If you're going to Vanderbilt or SEC school, you're not. Like they have a lot of guys there still. But at the same time, the vast majority, 75, 80% of D1s, they're super excited to get a freshman that's an upper 80s guy that can be a 90 mile per hour guy because they just don't have that many. It's still it's still just not that common. I watched.
Point being is that guy Adam, your son's in great shape.
He's in good shape.
Whether he stays at the school he signed to, or he goes to junior college, or he just decommits and finds a school that doesn't have 10 seniors, he's in great shape, no doubt.
Yeah. He's going to be able to force his way in the lineup. Yeah.
Just let it play out, see who comes back and then make your decision because there's going to be so many implemented rules to help him out. And going back to Georgetown blew it. I mean, I went to St. Mary's because they were giving me the Friday night spot like this, but it wasn't a top tier D1. I should have held out. I went 11-0 starting out my sophomore year at JUCO, and I had letters from you name it. And it was tough because you think about this, I was really good as a junior, throwing hard, nasty slider. I just had learned better changeup finally. But then I had 6 freshmen on the field, man, and we got exposed during conference play. And then here we go. I have to throw a shutout every game, and then maybe going to a different school, I could have went 9-4 versus 6-6. Because it is what it is. Freshman in the Division I in the infield, it's a learning curve, man. The game speeds up. It's the same game, but there's some mature guys out there versus.
Well,
you don't realize that.
Yeah. What percentage of guys do you think would come back? So all these seniors were ready to play their final season and then move on with their lives or hopefully get drafted or whatever, life after baseball. Now they get new life to come back if they want to. What percentage do you think comes back that actually takes the NCAA up on that? Takes out the other loans, adds more classes, because most guys were in my boat. I couldn't finish a second degree in 1 year in 5th year. I took on a second major. So I was ready to graduate with my philosophy degree after 4 years. And then to come back, I had so many psychology classes under my belt that I could take a second major, and I made psychology my second major. And then I graduated with a completed double major. I didn't get a double degree. That's like a whole nother like 30 extra credits, but I have a double major in philosophy and psychology that I completed, which a double major doesn't change anything. It's not like you got a better degree, like whatever. But so essentially that 5th year, those classes didn't really matter for anything. And for a lot of guys, they won't be able to complete a second major probably in their 5th year, unless they had like I did a lot of one subject. So what percentage do you think comes back?
Well, here's the other question before I do percentage is, can these seniors in this ruling, can they dip and run to another school?
Like
How would they want to do that?
like
You know what I'm
football.
saying? Can you go to the portal now? I mean, that's going to make a mess too, because then that
That's
changes your
that's huge question. If
Yeah.
you're a Division III kid who's an ace, who's now like 88 to 91, can you duck out and jump to,
Auburn,
a Big Ten school? Because they're going to take you. If you're a grad transfer, they're going to take you. Like football does it all the time. Jalen Hurts just did it. And he went to a powerhouse, Oklahoma. Like it's more common in football because they get these kids in early. They graduate high school early, they get into college early, and they finish early. So they have those options to grad transfer. Like that's a huge question. If I'm a stud Division II, Division III player, like, and I hear Division I is looking, or I can jump on and be the starter at maybe a mid-level Division I that's going to compete for a championship somewhere, conference, whatever. Like that's talking to me. I think the percentage is probably going down day by day. Like I think when the shockwave hit,
a lot of emotions were high. Yeah.
Emotions were high. Like we're all going to come back.
Yeah,
I tweeted it out. Yeah. It was like, pitchforks, we're coming back. You can't take this away from us. Like we want to take our own jersey off. Awesome. Get into July. Hey, sign these papers for 50 grand more in debt. You don't have any more classes to take. So you better, you got to take a full load, pick basket weaving, pay your rent. You got to go through
yarn theory.
You got to go through all those things that you just went through for the last 4 years. And, the other side of the token is how many of these kids are actually going to graduate in 4 years. If they've got another semester to do, they'll probably just stay and play. Totally understandable. But
That's
the kids
true.
the kids that were on pace that graduated, or they're about to graduate in May, just from their e-learning classes, whatever the hell they're doing, that's tough. I mean, that's a tough decision. I don't know if I'm taking on debt, and I didn't pay anything for college. Like, I don't even know if I still don't know if I would. Did you stay up where you're at? Do you just
I'm taking the out, man.
50 grand? Do you go make 50 G's a year and,
No, you take the out, dude, and you act like you got a senior plane ticket and you go to the Atlantic League. And then that's going to log down those when the older guys are out.
That's a small minority, though, of kids that can go play professional baseball. And that's not to diminish the talents of some of these kids, but professional baseball is is a pipe dream for 90% of kids in college. It just is.
Yeah.
Like my former college coach at a powerhouse D3 in Chicago, outside Chicago, right in the suburb. His catcher is a superstar. Like that kid's supposed to get drafted. But the rest of those guys, his seniors that are going out, and that school's like 50, 60 G's a year, those kids probably aren't going to play professional baseball. Maybe one other kid will have a sniff at an independent league. That's a lot. You're talking years of debt to play one more year. I think a lot of those kids would just say, shitty situation, but.
Well, and the thing about independent baseball is, and this is a misconception, people think, oh, independent baseball is this lower tier that I can jump on and use it as like a little stepping stone to get, I'll just go do a month. Now, there are some examples of guys who have done that. The number one example is Big Maple in the major leagues, James Paxton. He didn't get what he liked in the draft. He went and played the American Association for 2 months. And this was, he's like, 6'6", lefty. He was throwing like 92, 95. He held his own in independent baseball and then got drafted the next year.
Didn't Bauer do that?
Who?
Luke Hochaver did.
Hochaver did,
Fort Worth Cats.
Yeah. These were like first-round draft pick type players. Like they could hack that. Everyone else, you can't jump into independent baseball because here's how independent baseball works. It's as cutthroat as the major leagues. If you go there and suck, you're gone in 2 weeks, in 1 week. You can't just like, oh, I was like an okay, pretty fringy D1 baseball player. Might have got drafted. I'm gonna go play independent baseball. Go hit 180 in your first 11 at bats. See ya. It's not.
Unless
it's not
you're on
that,
the Camden River Sharks, the later year.
Yeah,
it's hard. Hamstring, it had 11 ERA.
Yeah, and it's a hard lead to get started. I mean, I saw in my rookie year, I saw lots of guys pitch once and get released. Either that night or 2 days later. That's extremely common. So these independent leagues are not like, oh, sure, come on in. We'll keep you warm and incubate your career. No, if you can't win games for us and help us keep fans in the stadium, then see ya. get out of here. And
that's Mexican baseball at a T.
Yeah.
You don't show up every night because there's people that want that cash, man.
Yeah. So affiliated baseball, where they put a little money in you, you get at least, a couple of years to develop. That's important because you need those chances to fail, because swinging that wood bat is hard. Suddenly you're seeing the Friday night starter that you saw in the SEC. You see him every day, every inning in pro baseball, right? The best, and as a pitcher, you're seeing the 3-hole hitter from every team. It fills out every spot in the lineup. That's how the funnel narrows in pro baseball. So to act like you said, like these fringy college baseball players who might be able to play pro, if they're not getting that year or two to try to hack it and get some chances in affiliated ball, they're going to really, independent ball, they're going to be filled. Like there's only so many roster spots. There's no extended spring training. Huh?
You think it'd be fair to say that most MLB organizations too aren't just going to have open doors next year because they already have investments in these guys that missed a year?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They're going to not really just hand sign these seniors next year. It's going to be tough to even get into an affiliated organization.
Yeah. It's going to be a logjam everywhere, and I remember I was very unhappy with this one Twitter thread, and there was a parent who clearly he was upset that they were giving seniors their eligibility back, or everyone their eligibility back. And he was complaining. He's like, these seniors, they come back, they're already dead. Like they're not going to get drafted. No one wants to sign a 23-year-old college 5th-year senior. He's like, this shouldn't happen. These guys, we got to look to the younger generations. And I look at his Twitter profile, and he's got a high school senior and he's got a college sophomore. Those are his kids. So I'm like, clearly you just want your kids to get through playing time now. Like you want it to be their time. You don't want someone above them to come back and now steal the innings that they were waiting for. But as you guys both know, there's no waiting your turn in pro sports.
No.
If you don't like it, just be better than them. And that's again, like back to our freshman example. If you're 88 to 90 as a freshman and you're, their seniors are coming back, well, you could be better than them. Be 90, 93 with a slider and just be better than those seniors, and come back seniors. And then you can sit the bench and I'll play because I'm better than you. That's unfortunately the attitude kids have to have if you're underclassmen.
There's no blanket.
Be better than the seniors. Come back.
There's no blanket answer. If you're good, make a decision based on where you're at.
Work hard now.
If you're mediocre, make a decision on where you're at. There's no blanket answer.
Yeah.
Financially it's going to speak more than anything. If that kid's 88 to 90 and the Division I school he's going to give him 80%, are you going to get 80% coming out of junior college? Can you afford to go to junior college? Maybe a junior college doesn't have financial money for you. Or even though it might only be $6, $7, $8 that's still money. It's, money's not, especially now. Money talks.
People like money. They're into money.
Money. People. What did we say the other day? People with sales drive business, right? You got to make money.
Drive business. Yeah. Sean. Speak on the pecking order in baseball. Is baseball fair?
No, look at Bobby Stevens. The guy had to sit his turn in Frederick so many times because of a draft status. The guy was playing awesome, and you get on a roll, and hey, now you got to sit for 5 days, hang with him. Or even me. I was our later pick. I just tried to get in there and throw hard, and I was intense because I didn't want anybody to take that guy's bat and eat my lunch money, and then you need to chill out. No, man, when you're pumped up and you go in and dominate, that's my money. That's my life. If I don't pitch good and get a little fired up, then I'm going to sit out there and just ease it in there. That's not my mentality. And then whatever I do after, if I want to have a beer and do a few things, that's fine. I'll go home, sleep, and be ready to play the next day. You can honestly say I was never on the DL and never not one time turned down the ball. So what else do you want in your organization? That's where I'm still at a loss. Like I was never hurt. And people, you have to be quiet sometimes. Nah.
So here's the issue with the two affiliated guys talking right now, that like two idiots. We were with Baltimore. So quick story is, in spring training, I'm standing in the infield, like we're doing our whatever work. And I'm standing there with a guy who came from the A's and a guy who came from the Braves, and myself, both older than me, probably 6 years older than me. Sean, I'll tell you who they were afterwards. You know both these guys. And honest to God, the quote out of their mouth was, "What the fuck are we doing?" And I'm standing there, and it's like my second spring training, and I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And they're like, "What are we doing? Like, what is this?" I was standing as a middle infielder watching pitchers on working field number 2 do PFPs like 1 3s or 3 1s or whatever the hell they were doing. And we were just standing there. And these guys were like, this is a shit show. So back to that is, like Sean said, I never turned the ball down. Like, I was sent back to wherever I was sent back to multiple times. It's like the organization we were with is notorious for not having a plan. Like when I had my meeting in spring training with the head of the minor leagues, he didn't even know my name. And I was like, well, what do I have to do to get out of here? And he's like, well, you gotta, how did you get here? It was him and the hitting coordinator, and they had my file there, like looking at my numbers from the year before. And they're like, well, like, you need more at bats at this level. I was like, well, am I going to be the starter? And they're like, no. I said, well, if I'm going to be a backup, like, why wouldn't my numbers clearly show that I'm good enough to back up moving up, like move me up and put me at the backup at that level. And I have a buddy in Chicago now who's with the Marlins who told me a story about there was a third baseman and the guy was in DoubleA, and he's like, what do I have to do to get to the big leagues? And the coordinator said, hit 20 bombs, hit 320. That's the only way you're going to get to the big leagues. And he hit like 317 with like 22 bombs, and they gave him a call up. It's like, we didn't have that. Like, Sean, you're going to close. You need to have on a sub 2. You get into September, we'll move you up. It didn't matter. Like there was no, I heard the phrase, if you play well, you're going to get more opportunities. And there was honestly a time when I was with the Orioles where I was leading the league in Triple Crown numbers. I don't want to get into my own career because it's irrelevant. But I was batting average, home runs, RBIs. I led the whole league we were in, the Carolina League, and I sat for 7 straight days. And I play everywhere. Like, put me in center field, put me at first base, put me at shortstop. I played everywhere. It's like, you can't find one spot in the lineup to put me at. I'm arguably the best player in the league right now, just numbers wise. So that's, professional baseball is cutthroat and everybody understands the business. And I get that, but Sean gets it. It's a business. But if there's no clear outline of, here's what you have to do to advance in your career, then you're just sitting there with these 2 big leaguers standing next to me thinking, what the fuck is going on here? Like, why?
Yeah, you're lost.
We're just fillers. We're fillers for the guys that you've handpicked to move up the ladder, which is a lot of minor league baseball. Like, you don't need all these levels if you've only got 2 or 3 prospects per team, but there's got to be something for these guys. Like, guys play their way to the big leagues and organizations all the time. I was with the Braves for a half a year, and it was amazing. They told me, they're like, we're going to start you in high A and we're going to move you to AA, at this date. And it was like 2 days after that date, and they moved me up, and I was hitting like shit. I was playing like shit, but it was like, you're going to move up and you're going to fill this role. And if you can't fill the role, you're going to be gone. It's okay. Like, and they did it.
Yeah. People can handle that.
Yeah. I can. If I fail, I fail. Like, that's fine. But give me something. Give me, dangle the carrot. Like, if you can't do that, then it's indicative of where that organization has been the last decade and a half.
Yeah. I mean, how do you go from my year with 35 saves, more than likely the hardest relieving thrower in the organization that year, maybe, if not close, get a token for 2 weeks to go up to TripleA, do just fine, then come back for the playoffs, and then next year you don't even get to close in AA. Well, we've signed guys from the Nationals and other that are going to be sitting in AA, so they're just back to a normal reliever.
There's just no plan. There was no,
That's a fact, man. They didn't stick to word.
You're a filler.
Yeah. And that kind of stuff, like, for people who haven't played at that level, it's hard to find a corollary, like in real life. Like, that would never find business. Like, people would be leaving that company immediately. Like, people want to have some idea of whether they're doing well or not. Like, am I doing good at my job? Like, my numbers say, like, 290 is good, right? Oh, but I'm not playing. It's like, you look at performance numbers as a salesman or just anything, and companies have, they have something to give people an idea of what they're doing.
Yeah. It's hard to relate to the business world because guys that are in the business world now, you can get a new job. Like, for the baseball, you can't. Those jobs don't exist. You can't hit 320 and not get moved up to AA and say, all right, well, see ya. Like, I'm going to go play for these guys. Like, they own you.
Yeah.
And that's whatever. It might be a broken system. It might not be. I mean, there's no union. I saw, Ty Kelly and another guy are starting like a rights for minor league guys. And I almost think it's like a lost cause. Like they're just going to find guys that don't sign that legislation paper. They're just going to find them because there's plenty of baseball players. There's guys from these islands that'll come here for nothing and they don't give a fuck what the contract says. They just want to get out. And you're the American kid, or you're the guy that's, wants, paid throughout the year, and you want to be a full-time employee of the organization like a big leaguer, and you're just not. Okay,
they're going to tell you, right,
get a
Bob,
new career.
If you don't like it, play better.
Get a new career. This is what we do.
They're not going to beat the MLBPA. That thing's so strong. I mean,
well, it's not even that. It's the owners and the minor leagues. Like, why? I wouldn't pay those guys. Like, you're talking to a guy who played. I wouldn't pay. Why would I pay minor leaguers anything more? I'm not saying they don't deserve it, but why would I? I'm making money how it is. I have an unlimited amount of labor, like that. Whether or not that labor is good, I fill that team in a heartbeat. There's guys in the Atlantic League that'll take those jobs for $900 a month and not think twice about it. And I would have taken one too when I was playing independent ball. Like, there's just, you don't have leverage if you're an A-ball player. You just don't play. You're stuck in the situation you are. Hopefully you get into a good situation where they value you as a player and as a performer.
Well, and from a business standpoint, it makes sense. It makes some amount of sense to take care of your employees and pay them a little more than the minimum that you could possibly. But it's like, hey, Bobby, like you need me to mow your lawn. I'll do it for $20. It's kind of insane for you then to pay me $30 when I would accept $20. Like, as a business, like, businesses are not people. Now businesses are run by people, but at the same time, if Sean will mow my lawn for $15 and I'll mow it for $20, why would you pay either of us $30? If we accept the terms of, like, this is what we'll, and so, you talk about companies where if, a Starbucks barista will be happy making 10, but Starbucks pays them 12 because Starbucks believes in treating their employees better, which they do that. They're a good company. Like, I think they pay higher and they give better benefits than they would have to. There's definitely some benefit in that company, like loyalty of your employees to your brand, going above and beyond because you feel, taken care of. Those are all important things, but at the same time, Starbucks can't, like, that's going to run out. They can't say, okay, well, our employees at X level would have accepted $12 an hour, but we pay them $14 because we believe it's the right thing to do. You can't keep going up. Like, if they said, well, now we're going to make it 16, now we're going to make it 18, then at some point it hurts the business. And also the gains that they got of loyalty and hard working, all those things, they're going to start to taper down. They're going to run out. And then people are going to be like, oh, well, I'm just worth 16. And it's like, no, you're not. It's just going to run out at some point. So paying a minor leaguer $1,200 a month is clearly exploitative, and bumping them up to $1,600 or $1,800 probably makes a lot of sense because they can eat better food. They can focus better on training in the winter. There's a lot of stuff they can do, but bumping them up to $8,000 a month, does that improve it in proportion to the amount of extra pay you have to give them when they would accept $1,600? Probably not. Like, there's a point.
Be careful what you wish for. You give a single A guy $5,000 a month and you hit 160 for the month of April. Goodbye. See ya. Like, you're not getting that leeway. Like, now it's indie ball. Now it's you perform or get out. And that's okay. You reap what you sow. You want that. Like, there's going to be negative effects across the board if they raise it. I'm not saying they shouldn't raise it. Like, those guys, I wish I had more money in minor league baseball. That's sure. So does Sean. So do you, Dan. Like, everybody wants more money. Like, no, who doesn't want more money?
Businesses like making money. They like making sales.
People
and humans like money.
Especially now.
Technically, too, in your 7-year contract or 6 spring trainings, you can negotiate. Because I went in one time. It's not set. It's set. It is set. But I went in. I said, well, what does it take to get more? Well, next year, if you're a free agent. I mean, there should be some incentive where you could talk about having a previous year, maybe for a 3% raise or something over the minimum allowed if you're doing the right thing and being responsible. But like you said, I mean, some guy's going to sign for $800, throwing
the years is the problem.
Dominican. Yeah.
The years is
the problem. Make it 3 years and be done. So you have
when you draft a guy and you own him for 7 years, like literally own his rights for 7 years. You come out of college, you're 21 years old. They give you till you're 28. You're done. You're you're done in professional baseball at 28 years old if you haven't made it to the big leagues. Like, you're not making it to the big leagues. Like those stories that whatever that movie was where the lefty actor was throwing 100, got to the Rays, like that shit doesn't exist. Like, okay, we made one movie, like great. That guy, Dan, you're not showing up to the park tomorrow throwing 100 and getting a shot again. Like that doesn't happen.
If I threw 100, I would. If I threw 100, I would.
You wouldn't though. You could get a shot in indie ball probably, but you're not going to, no one's putting you in TripleA. Like your numbers, your resume. Pick. You're a resume.
Yeah.
Rob, do you remember Rob? There's a guy that would play with Rob Semerano in Camden when I was in Camden. Like this dude was out of baseball. He comes in chucking like 97 to 100. I mean, he was throwing fuel. He's an indie ball.
That was an exaggeration. It was probably like 94, 95, but he was throwing hard.
He was throwing harder than that. Regardless, he was throwing very hard.
He also wasn't good, right? I mean, he wasn't good.
He had good outings at bat. You know, he had to
he
get
wasn't
back
good
into it.
Overall. Yeah, but he wasn't good.
Regardless, though, I mean, you show up with arm talent. You're just not getting tough. You're not getting.
You gotta stop saying arm talent.
No, arm talent is a phrase. Yes, it does.
No, it's not. A phrase. No, it's not. It's called arm strength.
You're not a scout, Dan. I'm a scout. I'm a scout.
Arm talent?
Yeah, arm talent. He has talent in his arm.
That's why you didn't get it, Blue. You didn't make it because you threw 94 with bad arm talent.
You had bad arm. Exactly. I wish you had better arm talent.
Arm talent. Good God. That guy was a good example. And that's one of the things that irks me about this culture of, I'm not going to play baseball. I'm just going to train for baseball and do weighted balls all year and just throw into a net and do live at bats until I can throw 98. Then I'm going to go play pro baseball and make it to the top. Those guys stink.
You seem like you're referencing someone specifically.
No, there's lots of
group of people.
Well,
yeah, it's 1,000% drive line. That's good.
I do know one.
It is what it is.
I mean, there's lots of people,
but not every arm can handle that, bro. I went there in 2014 and worked out. Do diligently. But when you throw that 3-ounce ball, my elbow felt like I was putting it on a coat hanger and just walking out like this, like a puppet. It's not for everybody, man. And if you don't have the tools to rehab and be there every day and eat right, look at the guys who do dry. You got Lorenzen. That guy's a freak. You got Trevor Bauer. He's a freak.
It's like anything else, though. If you have lifting, the secret is lifting. Like, get strong as fuck.
I lost that. Yep. Strength matters.
Well, my point was not about their program. My point was about just the mindset of some of these players that they just want to get on a program. I don't have an opinion about Driveline anymore. I think they do a lot of really good stuff. I think there's some stuff in the past that I was like, but I don't have an opinion on what they're doing. My point is the athlete that says, I don't want to play baseball. I just want to go to a facility, whether it's theirs or anyone else's, and I just personally want to train.
Skip the season
and not actually play baseball until I just throw 96 to 100 or whatever, and then I'm going to go and then I'm going to climb the ladder. And my point was only that when those guys do that, they come in like this guy was, and they stink. They stink at pitching. They don't throw enough strikes. They're throwing 2-1 fastballs, 96 down the middle, and they get destroyed. I mean, that's like, people don't think, I think at times, that pitchers actually have to have skill at pitching. Like, you do. And you start to
you can't teach that.
You learn it from pitching baseballs. I mean, you got better as you went throughout your career. I got better statistically every year I played. I didn't throw harder every year. I was 90 to 94 my whole pro career. And I got better at pitching every year because I was pitching a lot and I was smart and I focused and learned, and you're doing a job, like you're doing a job. You're observing hitters. You're learning how to make pitches under pressure and all these things. You don't get any of that when you're just throwing a ball into a net 12 months out of the year. And again, like, there are some good weighted ball programs. There's some good training programs. I could care less about what facility you're doing at, and I'm not demonizing any facility, but just that mindset, that mindset of I can be a major leaguer by just throwing into a net for 2 years until I throw hard enough, and then I'll just go to the big leagues. That doesn't work. It just doesn't.
Correct.
It doesn't.
Yeah, their program and stuff. I mean, it made me. I'll tell you what. It kept your arm in way better condition. I'll tell you that. It's a grind up there, and I felt awesome leaving. But like you said, you just can't. Oh, you're gonna come through. Now we're gonna have scouts pick you up, and all of a sudden you're in the big leagues. No, it just doesn't work like that.
No, it doesn't. And you see some of those
Blew
guys.
it. What's your best relief outing ever?
My best relief outing ever?
Yeah, I have one and I remember it.
I don't know if you were there. For me, and this was like the pinnacle of my career. And it was a story I replayed in my book. It was really special to me. I was in Long Island, and it was a Sunday day game. My business partner, Lucas, came to watch. He came out for like a 4-day trip to catch a couple of games. And it was the bottom of the ninth. We were down 2-1. The Long Island Ducks closer was in. And I was the setup guy to that point. I had like a 1.8 ERA. I was doing, it was the best season of my career, this 2015. And so they called down the bullpen, which was over the outfield fence. And like, hey, Blue, if we tie it, you're in the game. We have 2 outs. Their closer was dealing that year. We have a guy hitting who was a former big leaguer who I hated. He was a huge, huge dick to me. Anyway.
What team was this?
We're the Canada River Sharks. It was 2015. Anyway.
Third baseman?
Yeah. This guy is 3-2 count.
You know Dickie, Bob.
Yeah. 3-2 count. 3-2.
You know Dickie.
0-2. 2 outs. We're down to our last strike. And I'm over there. There's no one on base. We're down 2-1. I'm like, I'm not going to pitch. Like, whatever. So I'm like tossing the ball like a grenade. And then fouls the ball off. He fouls the ball off. Takes a pitch. Fouls the ball off. He gets like a 12 pitch at bat. And then suddenly, because I was below I couldn't see the field. I hear boom. Ball crushes the second tier of wooden advertising over dead center. He takes him deep on like the 12th or 13th pitch of the at bat, 3-2. Ties the game at 2 with 2 outs. I haven't warmed up at all, and they're like, "Hey, Blue, it's in the game," and I'm like, "Oh." So I furiously, which this is the good thing about not having time, is that your adrenaline, because you're like, "Oh crap." And you just like get ready. I was just throwing missiles as fast as I could to get loose. Our next hitter gets out. He has a kind of long at bat, which helps me, but it was like 4 minutes. And then I'm running out to the field. And tie game on the road at Long Island is tough because they have like 4,000 fans. They're very engaged. It's a great place to play. Like they do an awesome job. I played there the next year. So anyway, the first inning I get like, I get through the ninth inning tied. And then the 10th inning, I go back out. And so it's in the 9th or 10th. I'm like getting so old that I like forget my own stories. Okay, so in the 10th inning, I had this long at bat with Lou Ford, who was like a journeyman. Like he's 40 years old. He's an amazing player. He eventually gets me for a single to right field. He gets to second base with 1 out. A pop-up is dropped in the infield by the same guy who hit the home run. And so I have to get an extra out. And they come up, their big hitter, this guy's 6'5". He's got a real slow bat. Like we all talk in the bullpen. You go through your scouting reports. This huge dude with a really slow bat, but he's got a lot of power, comes up, and he's walking up with 1 out and the winning run on second, and the whole Long Island crowd gets super excited. They get up, they're cheering, just like you would. They're excited that they got their big guy. This is going to be it. He gets up, and I'm angry because the pop-up just dropped. The winning run's on second, and I'm just pissed. And I bear down, and I'm like, this guy sucks. He can't hit my fastball. I throw the hardest pitch of my life at his belt, and it goes just right by him. He swings. Catcher, puts down fastball again, and I throw the piss out of it at his belt, same spot, right by him again, not even close. And my catcher puts down a 2, and I'm like, no. And then I just throw, again, like the hardest fastball in my career, right by him at the letters. Swings through like a slow barn door. And this crowd, as I strike him out on 3 consecutive fastballs, the whole crowd goes, oh. Like they're all at their feet, just cheering, and at once. And it was just this really intense moment. And that was one of the things that I was always hoping I get to experience at higher levels, where you have huge crowds. Like that stuff happening at the big league level, it's just got to be an amazing feeling. But for me, like just pumping that third fastball by him and then just getting the ball back, and like, this is my mound. That was like probably my favorite moment, where I felt like I was the best pitcher I ever was at that moment mentally, like being aggressive and just like owning and like dominating, and like, this is me at my best. And that was my best season. And that was just like, for me, I feel like that was an emotional peak of my whole baseball career. So your story, sir.
I think your best outing was in Southern Maryland when you came in with second, third. You walked the first guy on 4 heaters up, then punched out the side, then came out the next inning and went 1, 2, 3, and we won.
I did that. I don't remember that.
We had no out, bro. He couldn't even come in and blew it through 3 of the catcher's mask. And I was like, all right, pumping too. And then figured out and then punch out 3. Bases loaded. That was pretty good. And used his changeup on 2 strikeouts. If I had Dan Blewett's changeup, I would have been easily in the show.
If I knew how to throw any of my off-speed pitches, maybe I would have got a chance. I mean, like looking back, trying to just be realistic about like what I personally could do and what I couldn't. I just wasn't good at throwing my off-speed stuff for strikes. I just like never was.
But you didn't have to throw it.
Yeah, but to like be at that level, you do. Like my fastball.
Yeah, but you don't know that.
But that's true.
So you face it a lot. Look at me. In minor leagues, I was a 2-seamer and slider and an occasional changeup as a starter, and I had the best ERA 2 years in a row as a starter. Won 12 games, and who knows? But if you don't have that changeup, my first DoubleA, I went up. I pitched 1 game in high, go to DoubleA, face the Indians when they had an all-star team in DoubleA, and I gave up 11 hits and 8 runs in 2 innings, and you're out of there. See ya. And you're with Jake Arrieta, Troy Patton, Bobby Livingston, all these big leaguers, and you're learning from them. And the first day is like, hang with them, kid.
That was your best. Later. That was your best outing.
Best outing in DoubleA. Dude, the game's like that. Done. Hey, do you still have your necklace, bro, with your verses you rocking?
No.
I was like, he's got to have. No, you gave that up?
No, it's gone. I don't know where that's at.
Oh, probably back at trivia.
Yeah,
Sean,
right.
Speak a little bit on learning from older guys, because one of the things that I think, like the podcast culture especially, people listen to podcasts because they want to hear what thought leaders and CEOs and, you know, celebrities want to say, or what they have to say, how they got where they were. What do they do? What's their routine? Like, what did you learn as someone? Because, yeah, when you're in the Orioles system, both of you guys, like there were guys like Jake Arrieta, there were a lot of guys that are well-known names now, either on your side or playing against them. But tell me about the culture of learning from other players. Like, what did you pick up? Like, how does that whole sort of like exchanging information, and how did you develop your routines? Like, how did you develop different pitches? Like, what did you take from other guys? Both of you. And that's a question for both of you guys.
Go ahead,
Bob.
Now you got it.
In baseball, I mean, as far as a pitcher, you have a lot of downtime after you do your PFPs, and then you're out there conditioning, and then you shag for almost 2 hours of these guys hitting. So, I didn't really per se ask a lot, but you know, because the big leaguers, they want their own time to shag and this and that, or if they come down, they'll help you. But you're always talking grips or maybe how to better yourself on the mound. I guess it turned into a mental game because there's so many hitters you start seeing, and what did he do this time, and how do you slow him up, how do you speed him up, or talking counts. I mean, any information is good information, right? Because you don't have to take everything. You can kind of pick through it and feed through it. And I would try things. I mean, you had a guy that had a lot of feel, Eddie Gamboa, and you try to throw his change up, or I try a different. I mean, it's all feel, and you have to keep experimenting, but you don't ever rule anybody out, because you're all there because somewhere along the line, someone thought you were pretty good, and you could help a major league club at some point in time if you projected out. That sweet word of projectability, you know? But sometimes you don't get the chance, or you talk to people to try to get other opportunities in the line, you know, say, hey, well, I talked to Patton, and then, you know, it's one of those things that what I learned from most is maybe just to see what they did versus asking me to, you know, who a big leaguer is in the room, because he's really strong, really physique, and take care of himself. And he doesn't say a whole lot, because you don't have to say a whole lot. He has his routine. So you just kind of want to mirror that in pieces that might work for you. Like Arrieta, I mean, that guy didn't talk to anybody. He went about his business, did his thing, and dominated. The only thing he had a problem with is he had the worst problem. He was so nasty, he didn't know how to control it. He had 4+ pitches in DoubleA that the catcher that had big league time and was down there backing up was just getting thumbed to death. So somebody like that, he probably can't even tell you what he's doing or learn from them. You know, you just kind of watch.
Yeah.
And you keep an open mind, like they say, you know, don't say too much, just be a sponge. And that's how I felt like I could get tips and things versus trying to pull somebody aside and maybe rub them the wrong way. But I'm sure, fielding is different.
Yeah, I mean, the position player stuff is tough because what I struggle to convey to people is like, you have your guys that are going to be in the lineup every day, and you have your guys that are going to be spot guys. Your prospects versus your non-prospects. So what's tough about hitting is when I'm talking to somebody, whoever's on the team, like you're talking approach, you're talking to the coach about, what are you looking for? What are we doing? But, if you go 0 for 2 with 2 walks, you maybe barrel a ball, like that's not a terrible day as a hitter. Like you get something out of that. But if you're not a guy in the lineup every day, like you can't afford to have those quality at bats. Like you need results. So you need to be 2 for 4 to get in the lineup again the next day. So it's like, where do you draw the line of like, I know this is a good approach, but I can't take that approach because I'm not going to be in the lineup tomorrow. Like I'm not, minor leagues is not team baseball. And it's not wrong. It's not team baseball. It's individual. Like you need to play for yourself. And a lot depends on the manager. Like if your manager is playing team baseball, it could fuck you as a player. And that's just the reality of the situation. Like if you're the guy that's got to lay down sack bunts, or you get hit and runs, but you're at the mercy of the guy at first base doesn't run. And then that goes in the report. Like these reports are written every night and you don't know what's in it. Like Sean could go 9 pitches, 3 punchies.
Perfect inning, yeah.
And the report on him could be like he's shaking off their scouting report. Like you don't even know what the report says. And it's tough. Like minor, so kind of back to what you pick and choose from guys. Like there's a lot. I played with for Denny Hocking. He was a bench coach, a utility guy in the big leagues. If you look at his career, he doesn't, he's played in a lot of positions. He's a switch hitter. Like he's a guy you learn from because he's in that situation all the time. But it's hard to ask somebody, a coach or a player who's not in the same situation as you. You could, like you said, you could ask Arrieta, how are you throwing your slider? Like that dude just has stuff. Like he came out of the womb throwing sliders that you can't touch. Like you just can't do it. And he has that run in the big leagues where he's literally the greatest pitcher ever. But for that period of time, he was the greatest pitcher ever. Nobody could match what this kid was doing. So like Sean said, you take a little bit from what routine is the biggest one I think you can take from guys. What are you doing pregame? What are you doing? There's guys that in batting practice that'll stand at positions they don't play in the game and take 100 ground balls and chew up the field. And you're the guy like, dude, let me get my routine in. Let me get my 15 ground balls. Let me get my, let me get my reads off the bat and then go shag. Like you're in the outfield all the time. Like how many times would you have to bounce from position to position because the center fielder wanted to get his reads in center field? Like the routine is what you take, the routine and the thought process of how you're going to approach an at bat against a guy with, fastball slider, against a guy with fastball changeup. Like that stuff is invaluable information to somebody who's been in the box or been on the mound, where you can just listen and they're talking. And it's like, this is stuff that you just can't get from your online, from your Twitter coach. Like you're just not going to get that.
Twitter coach. Hell
yeah, right. The Twitter coach.
Pay me to be a Twitter coach.
Bobby loves Twitter.
It's good money if you can get it.
I just got a notification this morning that somebody in Russia was trying to hack my Twitter. So
really?
That was probably Bobby's accomplice trying to snake me out.
Just trying to get a little inside info on you.
Yeah. That's the thing, though. I mean, like, Bobby, you try to model yourself after Denny Hocking, but, again, some guys just don't know how to teach it. They just, hey, I just did it.
Well, it's not even modeling, right?
They loved you, though.
It's not even modeling after
them.
They
can't even play you.
Yeah, it's not modeling. Like, it's just you're at you got to take what you can and apply it to your own game. Like, your game is your game. And, some guys figure their game out sooner. Some guys get to the big leagues and they got their game figured out. Like they're here and you're here and you got to get there. And you got, you've got you got a finite amount of time to get there, and your performance isn't the only thing indicating whether or not you move up. Who's ahead of you?
Paid.
Who's ahead of you? Yeah. Who's ahead of you? Who do we have money invested in? Who do we need at bats? Who do we need to get at bats? Because our scouts have identified like they've got the tool or tools that we want, and who takes a back seat to that, and who's making the decisions. I mean, like we talked about with the Orioles, all organizations are different. Maybe it's more of a collective, but it felt like a very top down. This is what we do. This is who I want here playing. And if somebody outplays where I have them, like fucking tough, deal with it. Like, you're not outplaying my ranking of where you sit on our totem pole. So it's, whether that was the case or not, it's just my perceived case of not just myself, like, because Sean, but I played with guys in the Orioles minor league system that no doubt should have gotten a shot in the big leagues. Like, not want any of us to, specifically.
Especially a catcher. Brian Ward should have
no doubt. There were dudes with talent and performance that performed well enough to get moved and to get a shot that didn't. And it's just a way of life and tough. That's how life goes. And you don't need to be bitter about it or have a negative feeling towards the Orioles. It's just, you don't understand it. And for whatever reason, they didn't get their shot. And it's like this across all 30 major league organizations. Everybody's got a story like that. There's somebody you played with that probably should have got a shot that never did. But it's, like how you were talking about earlier, like you just got to take what's going to work for you. And, similar to how Dan and I were talking a few episodes ago, like feel versus real. Like if I got to swing straight down to the ball because that's what gets me to a swing that peppers the outfield wall, like that's what you do. And it's individualized. Yeah.
Well, and I think back to your point about some of these guys that slide out of the womb throwing turbo sinkers. I mean, that's not to undercut like the fact that I'm sure Jake he is like a super hard worker, right? But you guys have been in clubhouses where guys just walk in and they're just different than everybody else, right? And our other mutual friend Zach was also in the Orioles situation, and he said the same thing. Like Arrieta was just different than everyone else. He was just, if he worked the same amount of hard as everyone else, he was still exponentially better than them.
He was a dude.
It's an athletic
blue
gift.
chipper, man. Blue chipper.
Yeah.
Steal in the fifth round.
Yeah, and some athletes are just different. And that's what's hard for all of us as being Sean's probably the least close to like the baseline of like average, who like I had to work super hard to be better than average. I think Bobby's probably the same way. Sean, you're very average. I'm not saying you weren't, Sean. I'm just saying like
I'll tell you though, Bob's routine, man, like every day he was an example in the clubhouse. He didn't come in and mess around and jack people around.
That wasn't my point. That wasn't my point. My point was that like Bobby's not as much of a big league body.
I'm not 6'3", 220.
Yeah, that was
but neither was David Eckstein, man. I mean, I don't even know. Look at Clark. He's a big league. He has a star on his name, and I envy that.
No. That wasn't my point. My point was just like that there are, when you go to watch some of these like really high level D1 schools, you see athletes that don't exist in the real world. Like I remember 3 years ago, I saw my alma mater UMBC play at Mizzou. And there was one dude on Mizzou who's like 6'5", he had super long legs. His hamstrings were bulging out of his baseball pants. He hit a ball opposite field, like to the warning track, and just glided to third base. It's like, what are you? You're not normal.
That's like Machado, man. He played
and that's what you see.
Two games at third base, Machado. 2 games at third base. Then you're in the big leagues and you win the Platinum Glove that year? Or the next year when everyone's like, give me a break. The dude was a freak.
Yeah, kids.
And you got Jonathan Scope that throws 98 on a turn.
Yeah.
What a shower guy.
Can barely find a job.
Yeah. And I think some parents don't understand like what that looks like sometimes, that a lot of these guys in the big leagues, your kid never looked like them and will never look like them. Like your kid, if your kid's Max Scherzer, and again, this is not discounting any of these guys' work ethic at all. It's just like, I'm sure Max Scherzer was Max Scherzer when he was 7 years old, and every year as he progressed, just like Jake Arrieta was Jake Arrieta at every year, where he just was like better than everyone, no matter what field he stepped on, looked different, always stuck out. No, you know, again, and when those guys don't work very hard, their talent sinks and maybe they don't become what they would become. But when they work super hard, like Scherzer and all those guys, they become untouchable. Whereas like I never ever had the potential to have like the stuff that Jake Arrieta has, you know? And that's just like, I think the difference that sometimes parents don't understand with their kids. Like, my kid's going to the big league. It's like, no, your kid doesn't have the big league body, athleticism, like genes. Like, there is definitely a difference that, I mean, you've seen, like, you walk in the
those
clubhouse,
guys
like,
make it too,
that
though.
That dude is different.
Those guys make it too, though. I mean, there's their whatever top percentage of the big leaguers are just
Yeah,
freak
for sure.
athletes, like, and
For
then
sure.
there's that fatty middle part of all big leaguers that are hard workers with talent, and then there's the guys with very little talent that are just extreme workers that are diligent and consistent. And you know, where do you, like, most parents don't want to accept that their son is not in that top rung of super athlete, you know, freakishly top 1% athlete in the whole world. Their son probably falls in that middle category. Maybe he's a good athlete, or sometimes maybe he's like a less than good athlete, but he's a good performer and he works hard.
Yeah.
So he's going to outplay where his talent would just naturally let him fall. And that's, you know, everybody falls into one of those three categories. The freaks are the guys that you want to kind of listen, but not necessarily mimic everything they're doing, because
you can't do it.
Maybe you can mechanically, but you know, if your mechanics look just like Scherzer's, like he's throwing 100, you're going to throw 92. Like, that's just the physical nature of your body. So there's, you know, the disillusionment or the disconnect with some parents is like, look, your son is not, he's not even the fastest kid on his 12U team. Like, he's not the best athlete walking the neighborhood. Like, that kid has higher potential. And I hate the word potential, but he's got his ceiling. Like, that kid could go really far if he puts his talent with his work ethic. Like, where does your kid fall athletically?
And that's what bugs me on the parenting side is they have a hitting coach and a pitching coach. But at the end of the day, you still got to do baseball things. Those hitting coaches and pitching coaches aren't going to get you to the next level if you go home and don't work.
You could have the best hitting coach. If you only hit 30 minutes a week, if you only hit 30 minutes a week with that guy, you're not going to be as good as the kid who hits 30 minutes a day. And that kid has no coach. Like, that kid's just going to hit better if your talent is the same. That kid's going to hit better because he's just hitting and he's playing catch and he's doing things to, you know.
Like a guy told me last week when I was doing a little kid infield thing, he told the parent, when your kid takes 25,000 ground balls, then we'll consider him broken into the game. And he's a big league infielder. Justin Leone, he was a big leaguer. The Mariners, Yankees, he told the guy, said, quit bashing the kid. Let him take reps. Until you take 25,000 ground balls, you haven't even tapped into baseball. And the kid's
he's right. You need play the game.
Endless reps.
That's like we don't need to get into the conversation of specializing in sports, but you know, you want to be the dude. Like, the U.S. puts this, you know, multi-sport athletes are like, you know, the gold standard. Like, everybody wants a multi-sport athlete. Go to the rest of the world. Like, you go anywhere else, these kids that play soccer. They're 3 years old. You play soccer. Like, you be good at it. I lived in the Czech. Like, when I played in the Czech, I lived there. You play soccer or hockey. Like, you don't play both. Pick one. If you're going to be good at one, pick one. And the kids that can't be good at either one play baseball. So that's where we were at there. But, you know, I got kids that miss baseball games for basketball practice. Like, what are you kidding me? Like, what do we work? Like, I'm not telling you to pick us one sport because you're 10 years old, but don't tell me you want to be good at one and then play go to floor hockey games on Friday night instead of baseball practice and tell me how good your son is at baseball. He's just not. He's not repping it out to be good. He's just on the team. He is a participant in the sport. He's not a player.
Well, and that goes back to like, you know, as Sean, as you're talking about 25,000 ground balls, you know who gets their 25,000 ground balls by the time they're 9? Dominican infielders.
Guys that only play baseball.
Yeah.
And look
they're
at their
6
hands.
years old. Yeah, that's why that's why so many Latin infielders are so good, because, whatever an American kid, however many ground balls an American 12-year-old's taken in his life, a Dominican's taken 10 times more, if not more than that. Just a crazy.
If you combine those ground balls with how many jump shots he's taken and how many times he's shot a floor hockey puck, all those reps, all the reps and time accumulated might add up to the amount of time that someone from Puerto Rico has played baseball. But that kid has played baseball, and we're adding up all the reps of whatever sport they're playing in the U.S. I mean, this has gone off the rails a little bit, but that's the reality of the situation. You don't need to specialize, but you do if you want to be the dude. And if you want to play past your talent or get up to a level where you think your talent should take you, you need to play the sport.
Yeah. Would you agree?
Need to be the guy.
Would you agree? You're going to hear a parent, well, what if my kid gets burnt out? Then it wasn't for him. He doesn't really love what he's doing, because I should come home as a dad if I had a son, and he'll want to go play catch and he'll want to go hit. The dad that's asking him is trying to live to the kid. You're never going to be burnt out on something you love.
Yeah. And that's what I think.
Dan, you write books, you do all kinds of other stuff, and you're a smart dude and you write well and you enjoy that, but you also put the time in, and no one tells you, hey, you're going to write this book, or you're going to do this, or Bob, you're going to start a baseball. You love baseball like me. Like, I never got burnt out because I loved what I did. I mean, there was times, well, hey, my arm's tired, I'm not going to pitch, I'm going to play infield, or I'll hang out this weekend, but shit, I'm going to go get some reps, and I love this, and let's play baseball.
Yeah. And I had this conversation last night I did a client call with a great family in San Francisco, and they were asking me, and their son Shane's 12, and said, well, he might want to start lifting weights soon. And we started having kind of that conversation. I told him, I said, the only things you should do at your age are things you absolutely want to do for you, that you love. And we talked prior in the conversation about, do you actually love throwing? And for me, and for you, Sean, and Bobby, we all love playing baseball. I still love to throw balls. I love to throw baseball. Even when I was playing catch with lessons, when my career was done, I had fun throwing them back, acting like I was Brandon Phillips. I just always, since I was a kid, I loved throwing a ball. I throw a ball off the wall. I throw walnuts, we have those big green walnut trees in my backyard. I throw those walnuts at trees all day. I throw rocks. I just loved throwing, and I still do. I miss it. I need to go to the National Mall and find a catch partner. But
WeWork probably has a tunnel for you.
Big enough. But to your point, it was never ever a chore for me to go throw a baseball. And hitting was fun too. I didn't love hitting as much as I loved throwing, but I loved the game in general. I'm sure, Bob, you loved hitting and taking ground balls and all that stuff. And like you said, the whole multi-sport, single sport thing, I was mostly a single sport athlete because I just love baseball and I didn't care about the other sports. You could give me another sport, okay, I don't want that. I want to play baseball. And all the best players in the world were the same. They're all the same way. They're just in love with their craft. They want to go hit for an hour every day. They want to go take ground balls every day. You think Andrelton Simmons.
That's the key word, bro. They want to. They don't have to.
They want to. Yeah. And if you want to play other sports, that's completely fine. You just have to understand that you're just not going to be better than someone like me. If you're a pitcher and you don't love throwing as much as I do, and we have similar levels of talent, I'm going to just put in so much more work because I love doing it. That's just the algorithm. And it's easy. And parents, you can't coach that into your kids except by taking them to games and making it a fun experience and making it special. And if you're a dad and you go out and play catch with your kid, and it's I love doing this with my dad. That's how you make that also a special thing. You talk about you meet a girl, or you have a girlfriend who loves baseball. She probably loves baseball because it was something she did with her family when she was growing up. She went to games with her mom or dad or family. They were a baseball family. It's the same thing. So yeah, I think that's where it all kind of ties back. Like you said, if you don't enjoy it, you're going to get burned out from it.
Yeah. I mean, I had we split off teams. You have multiple teams at youth levels. We split off teams, and I had some angry parents, especially with a few of the high school teams, because, I split them off on a variety of factors, what I know about the kid, what I see from him in the winter, and then based on need. And, I got a few phone calls and parents were like, are you effing kidding me? Like, you're going to punish my son for, he was a wrestler or a basketball player, so you didn't see him like in the winter. It's like, look, your son's a multi-sport athlete. Fantastic. Like, I commend the kid for having time management skills, for having the ambition to want to do multiple things. But
yeah, it's great.
He's not going to get a spot just because he's a multi-sport athlete. Like, I'm the baseball coach. I don't give a shit about the basketball season. Like, I just don't. I'm sorry. Like, the kid who showed up, who's going to be the starting third baseman on, team, whatever, A team or whatever team it is. Like, I've seen this kid all winter. I've seen him get better. Like, I know his talent level. I have an idea where he's going to go. Like, I saw your son at tryouts. That's it. And he's played different sports and he hasn't picked up a bat in 6 months. Like, he's just, whether or not his talent is on par or he's better or worse. Like, how do you know? How do I know? You got to take a step back and realize, like, yeah, playing multiple sports is great. I played 4 sports in high school. Like, you get the little check mark on your Letterman's jacket and whatever. You go to fucking homecoming, but
did you hear the homecoming king too? Huh?
No, I lost.
Me either. I lost too.
But I wasn't trying to be the dude at basketball. I just liked playing basketball. It was a break, but I still did baseball. Like, I was a baseball player playing other sports. And from, I was different. I had the luxury of maybe taking a month off of baseball and coming back and being just as good as the other kid who was practicing for that month. That's for whatever, but 99% of kids and 99% of amateurs don't get to do. You're not Jake Arrieta. You're not taking 4 months off, first bullpen. You're 93 to 95. You're just not.
Yeah. Which I'm sure Arrieta probably didn't take time off either. That's the problem. You get farther behind.
That's the whole thing, is the best athlete isn't doing all the other sports now. Like 2020, if you're an amazing football player, like our best 8th grader player last year quit baseball to only focus on playing quarterback for his football team. Kid's a great athlete. He could do both as a freshman in high school. No doubt. He's specializing in one sport. So not only is he the best athlete, but he's only doing one sport. You want to be a quarterback on the freshman team at his high school, you better get on par with this kid, or you're not going to do it. And you're just going to sit behind him and watch and then bitch 20 years later when you're sitting at the corner bar that you should have been the starting quarterback. Like, get the hell out of here. No, you shouldn't have. Like, you didn't work nearly as hard. Like, you didn't have the talent that this kid had, plus the work ethic. You just didn't. See the situation for what it is. All right. Yeah. You need to, you can't have both sides. You want to be the best at one, then you need to focus on one. And it's not to knock the kids.
Because strength matters, man. Strength matters when you go back to it. Like you said, I missed out. I could have been better earlier in my life if I would have even more dedicated more to the gym. And not on being this bodybuilder, but fundamentally sound, where I can protect myself, be energetic, be long-lasting and durable, and complete my package as a younger guy, so I knew exactly what to do as I got away from home. Because then you don't have daddy's hand holding you or mommy. You're on your own out there. I mean, it's either win, do good, or you're out. There's no middle line in pro ball anymore. People weed you out. You're not good. We don't want them on team. I mean, there's a lot of bullying at the end of the day. People, the big leaguers, they want you out of the wayside. They don't want you to take their money, but you're trying to take their money. And at the end of the day, you can't play 3 high school sports and try to take somebody's money in baseball. Like Bobby said, you're like this. You're out there like playing hangman, pulling yourself in 4 different ways. And I played basketball because I was good and we needed another guy, but I realized I was 5'10". My vertical was a credit card, and we're done. Like,
Not everybody's Joe Mauer. Not everybody is a All-American basketball player, the #1 quarterback, and the #1 baseball player. And if you are, and you're Joe Mauer and you're a Hall of Famer, like that guy, that dude is the best catcher of his generation, the best athlete of his generation. You're not that guy.
And the sooner you realize that,
you can name
the sooner you realize that, the better. Yeah, the sooner you can get off the fact that Joe Mauer wasn't good at baseball because he was a multi-sport athlete. Joe Mauer is good at baseball because he's a freak athlete. Put it in perspective. He's
Just
a superstar.
Give the guy his credit and admit it. Don't, Joe Mauer.
He's not the reason you should play multiple sports.
No, especially him when you start to think of like the hand-eye coordination that he had. I mean, his hit tool, like he was so good at finding barrel.
Dude's a freak.
And that's an innate quality that I'm sure he honed via practice. But like, we've all worked with kids and seen kids who just like, that little kid can hit. Like that kid can find the barrel of the bat. And whether your swing mechanics are weird or perfect, there are kids that can just find the barrel of the bat. And you can't really teach that. He can always find the barrel, I'm sure.
I've ever seen in spring training, and it was a single up the middle. The hardest ball I've ever seen on a baseball field was a Joe Mauer single up the middle. This ball had to be 150 miles an hour off the bat.
You were backing up that day for show camp?
I don't even know what. I feel like I was sitting on the bench watching it and be like, what the fuck just happened? Like the ball, the grass was on fire when the ball hit it. His ball was hit so hard. I'm off of Joe Mauer now.
Okay.
Wait, we should get him on. We should get him on. I want to talk to him again.
Oof.
I actually have I trained Joe Mauer's cousin so it's a great family from where I used to live, Bloomington Normal. They're the Holtz. They're like an incredible D1 family. Dad played D1 baseball. Mom played D1 volleyball. Daughter played D1 volleyball. Son played D1 baseball. And their cousin is Joe Mauer. So heck of a family.
Genetics.
Probably helps out a little bit.
I could always ask him. Sure, it won't happen, but no, I probably won't ask him. But anyway, last question. This has been an epic hour and 40 minutes so far. Sean, predictions about what's coming next in our country re-coronavirus.
Oh, Jesus.
We're not going to get into what we thought we might get into, but
there's like 14,000 background checks right now pending for weapons here in Nevada. So that's scary. And 70% or higher first-time users. You can't find any 9mm ammo.
Do you have a gun? Don't pull it out. Don't pull it out.
Yeah, I do. Just for home. Just for home. I mean, everyone's scared of looting stuff, but I enjoy it. I don't flaunt it. I love having the gun at home. It's something that makes you, in case of an emergency. Let's not. But
you don't bring it crazy, to get groceries?
No, I actually go super early. Stand in line for 2 hours at Costco. Hopefully, getting my package of ground turkey and ground beef, and then we move
baby
on.
Baby wipes.
No, I have a Brita filter, and I have old used T-shirts for that in case we get in trouble in a shower. And then I think there's probably going to be these people are buying CB radios and two-way radios. Bob, what do you think? I think they're going to do, if people don't quarantine, it's going to be a blackout. So everybody has to stay home, and they're going to blame it on 5G. That's what I heard.
They're not blaming it on 5G.
Well, you can't blame it on that Mr. MAGA.
No, the thing going around is they're installing 5G while everybody's at home. You know, the ref for like in California, the governor mandated that all schools get 5G installed, and 5G is, it's faster, yes, but there's been studies done that could potentially be harmful to your DNA. Where they rolled out 5G
so is
first.
Vaping, bro.
I'm not arguing against 5G. I'm just giving you the facts, dude. Just giving you the facts. You know where they rolled out 5G first in the world?
Chicago, right?
Las Vegas.
Wuhan.
Oh, really? Well, I've heard 5G doesn't see through buildings as well as 4G. Like they've had, and this was from a Marquess Brownlee video where he was talking about like what 5G is on YouTube, and he was saying that when they install these towers, the signal is like different fundamentally, and that it doesn't see through buildings as well. So like their placement of these 5G towers have to be more strategic. I've heard that, you can't just throw it anywhere and it's just going to beam Wi-Fi to every nook and cranny that it just like might not reach. Just like, it doesn't reach into an elevator. No, like it's just like it's got more blackout spots. Is essentially what.
Well, it's just the unknown, right? Like I've seen people on social media have put plants next to their wireless router, and then a plant across, on the other side of the room, same water, same light, and the one next to the router doesn't grow. Like, is that, is this like is this like a stronger version of that? Like, we don't know the effects of the phone. Like most of us sleep with the phone next to us in the same room. Like, this thing is giving off, who knows, what kind of radiation, maybe none, maybe a damaging amount. Like, you don't know.
Yeah.
We're the test subjects. Like, we're the test generation of how fucked up we're going to be from all the shit that we've installed around us to make us, basically a tech. We're like part machine at this point. Like, you can't live without your phone. We're on a video. We're streaming across the country to each other in real time, with no lag. Like, I can see you guys moving.
Yeah, it's crazy.
No lag. Like, is this affecting my DNA right now? Like, am I going to have a cancer cell because I'm on this webcam I bought at Guitar Center, Dan?
What if the cell phone radiation makes the one plant grow and become a being, and then Sean has to shoot it with his gun? Thank God he's got his 9mm. Wakes up and he's got a plant ready to eat him, like Little Shop of Horrors.
Is that a real plant behind you?
No, it's fake. I need to get a real plant. I'm getting a real plant for there. It's
like
right just down. I have a bunch of fake plants, but I wasn't sure what. I need one of those dragon plants, or is it dragon? No, snake plants that you can put like anywhere. They don't need anything. They just like exist.
Isn't that like a cactus?
Yep. They have like these like kind of like wide leaves, and they're everywhere. But
we should do a full episode with a florist.
Yeah, that'd get great viewership.
Really hit that community hard.
Sean, thank you for being on the show. Sorry we didn't get into Trump. We were going to get in there a little bit, but
yeah, I got time.
Good conversation. Some of us need to move on here, Robert, but we will be back here on Monday. Back to normal
maybe
hours.
I'll check on you guys back Friday. Who knows? Have fun.
Dude, I mean, I think our goal with this podcast is just to have solid conversation, be entertaining, be in the baseball, softball athlete industry a little bit, but also keep another foot out of it. Like, I don't necessarily want to be talking about, this is my teaching philosophy, this is coaching, this is like, I just think there's more out there than just that. And I think we're going to kind of do this podcast the way we want to do it, and we'll see what it becomes. But Sean, I think you had some awesome insights, and I appreciate your experience, because it's just, everyone's got a different path through baseball. And like, yours was different than mine, which is different than Bob's. And I think a lot of your advice with the college recruiting stuff and giving credit to JUCO, because I didn't go JUCO, Bobby didn't go JUCO, but you had a very successful pro career as a JUCO guy. And I think more people need to hear that there's viable options.
There was a stat, I think, or a meme, or, one of those screenshots going around. I think it was like 20-some%. I don't know. Some kind of percent are in the big leagues from JUCO. I mean,
yeah.
So never think you failed if you didn't go Division I, because sometimes it's not even you wanting to go Division I. It's for the parent to wear this shirt. I mean, I'll go print you an Auburn shirt tomorrow if you really want it. I mean, it's where you can succeed, get the most reps, and get a chance to be in professional baseball and do what's best for yourself at the end of the day. Like Bobby said, it's the minor leagues, it's individual, and you want to be a teammate. At the same time, people are just looking to date the next blood.
Nobody gives a shit about you at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Well, the thing about JUCO, just to real quick, is where every off season I would practice with a junior college, and that was awesome because those kids want, I'm older, obviously, like I'm playing professionally, like, so they've talked to me a little bit, but they want to get after it. Like, those kids are getting after it, and the practices are long, and it's guys always want to do extra. So if you want work, like, you've got a chance to do work, and that's what we needed. I mean, as a professional, that's what I needed in the off season. I needed work, needed dudes to hang out with and want to play baseball. My friends didn't play baseball anymore. I get to go home and pick my own friends after the season, but unfortunately, most of them don't play baseball, past high school or college. So that junior college is, I mean, Triton College. I was there 5 minutes from my house. I was there every day. Place was pumping out kids that wanted to play baseball.
Well, and my last point here is that when you start going to D1 baseball games, again, you go to these like smaller schools. Like, Bobby, how many fans did you get at an NIU game? Because you went to Northern Illinois. How many fans do you get at a typical game?
Tens and tens of fans.
Same thing in my alma mater. We get 70 fans, and they're mostly girlfriends, parents, and grandparents. What about St. Mary's?
Potential girlfriends.
That too. John, what about St. Mary's? What was your draw like at a home game?
I mean, it was packed because we were on campus, but I mean, it wasn't like anything of significance. Like when I went to LSU, that our first unconference game was in LSU, and I had to change my jersey. Like I was telling you, change my jersey twice because they're throwing beer on you on the side while you're warming up. Tiger bait, boy. I'm gonna use more explicit words, but I mean, that's a real. I mean, you're in front of 12,000, and I go out there and I strike out the first two. Get out of the first inning. The next inning, I walk one, then we had an error, and the guy hits a 3-1 jack. His last name was Dean, and the place just goes nuts. And I'm like, whew. But that doesn't happen everywhere. You're playing the game because you love it, and you can go play somewhere else. And if you're good, you'll be seen. So don't ever doubt where you go. Look at NIU, UMBC, St. Mary's, JUCO. They'll find you, regardless. Word of mouth and now social media, they'll find you. Don't be one of those turds, and
they get paid to find you.
Don't be a turd. Don't be a turd to send videos and look at me. Somebody will get you. And if not, there's always the next road is working harder.
Yeah.
Maybe I didn't work hard enough. You never know.
Yeah. And my point with asking that question is that when people put D1 sports on this pedestal, like, softball parents are going crazy to try to get their daughter that D1. It's like, okay. And then you go to a game and do you know what D1 softball looks like at most schools, or D1 baseball looks like at most schools? It looks like travel baseball. They're in a nicer stadium. They have 75 fans. No one in the grand scheme of the world cares about that game, except you go to that school. And so you need to be happy at that school. But like that LSU experience, that SEC baseball, Pac-12 experience that's the experience for like 10% of D1 baseball.
But
everyone else has no fans. Exactly. Everyone else has no fans they're playing for. You have to really want to go there. You need to like really love the life there, be a student athlete there, get your major. My point is just that like we put D1 sports on too big of a pedestal. There's no spectators for most games and most sports. It's not as big a deal as people think it is. Like you just need to be happy.
Football makes all the money, man. Football brings all that money to make it a huge school. Baseball is still the same game. Like that Leone guy, he went to Barstow and then some St. Martin's and got drafted. I mean, guy was a big leaguer.
Yeah,
but then it's
Zach Clark, big leaguer.
The 12,000 you're playing against LSU. If you're on that LSU team and you're not one of those 9 playing, that shit's not that fun. Like, it's cool atmosphere for a few days, and then all of a sudden you realize like I'm not on the fucking field. Like this is not fun. It's not fun to work your ass off and not play. So
exactly,
you got to go play.
Yep. Got to go play. Well, on that note, Sean, thank you so much again for being a guest.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it.
We'll see you soon.
And for you watching on Twitter, quick announcement. Well, I'm sure no one's still listening, but catch us on iTunes, Spotify. We are in podcast land officially. Full streams of this on Twitter and YouTube, and you can catch replays here on Twitter, YouTube, and you'll find clips on Instagram and all of our other platforms. So for myself and Bobby Stevens, Bobby.
Dan, we'll talk to you.
Talk to you.